the chat. Let's start the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. I am your host, obviously, Lindsey Vertner. I'm a peak potential strategist and transformational speaker, and I'm super excited to be sharing with you tonight as we chat it up with another amazing guest. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Lindsey Vertner, as I've said many times before, and I teach ambitious, busy entrepreneurs and leaders how to master their mindset and increase their self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline. I started walking in my purpose after fully recovering from a fatal car wreck that left me brain dead and paralyzed. And now it is my jam to help ambitious, busy women master their mindset. That is what I'm all about. I'm super excited because my guest that I have on tonight is just as amazing, and she's been through some things. So I know that it's going to be a phenomenal show. And if you are watching this, make sure that you comment all the way live if you're catching it live right now. And if you're catching the replay later on, then comment replay all day, okay? But make sure that you grab a drink and join the chat. Put in the comments down below where you're tuning in from, and make sure that you have your pen and paper ready because I know we're going to be dropping lots of gems tonight. And also, take note of your questions because our special guest will be able to answer your questions live tonight. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my guest, Nadia Ahrens. She is a psychotherapist, life coach, and empath expert. She's a graduate of Columbia University, and she's been teaching, healing, and mentoring others for over 20 years. She's also an advanced clinical hypnotherapist. So, that's going to be spicy. She believes that we are all human. We all have struggles and traumas and tragedies to grow from. Nadia draws from her own personal trauma where her 8-year-old son unexpectedly died in 2016. And to prove that you can transform from anything, she uses her experiences to help others. So she teaches women how to understand their gifts and release fear so that they can live empowered, authentic lives. And I'm super, super excited to welcome tonight's guest, Miss Nadia Ahrens. Hello, hello.
You almost made me cry.
Not yet.
I feel all the feels all the time.
Yes. Thank you. We already have people tuning in and leaving lots of comments. Miss Alea says, I got my drink and I'm ready. And she is all the way live tuning in from the beautiful Miami, Florida. Yes. Now, Nadia, I know that I just introduced you and gave just a brief snippet of your background, but I want to pull back the shades and really tell us who is Nadia for real. Give us the good tea about your background, your upbringing.
I mean, where do I even begin? I live in Seattle, but I am a born and raised New Yorker, and I moved out here like 16 years ago, and my parents are from the Bronx. I grew up right outside the city, and I'm a city girl. And then I kind of took the long and windy road, kind of finding myself and finishing college. And I worked in the fashion industry. I waited tables. I traveled all over, and, it dawned on me one day. I was like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? I did all these different things. And then one day I was like, oh, I was able to like connect all the dots. And I was like, oh, people are always coming to me with their problems. And I'm like, and I help them, and it's awesome. And I feel good and they feel good. And I was like, I need to like go back to school for psychology. And I did. And now, like, 20 years later, I'm still living my dream. And so, I don't know, I'm a crunchy hippie. I am a badass New Yorker. I'm a double Scorpio, Leo rising. Like, to put me in in a nutshell is really, I can't do it. I don't know if anybody else can. So.
I think that just speaks to how many different layers we have as humans. Sometimes, like, we meet people and we try to put them in this one small box, in this one category, but we're like onions and we just keep peeling back, and there's so many different layers and levels to us, and so many different things that make up our one being.
Totally. And like, I feel like when I look back on my life, like, I just turned 49, just like PS, like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm 49. Thank you. I've got good genes. My grandma was around until like almost 102. But like, I look back at these different phases of my life, and I'm like, I was like a deadhead for a while, and I was like a cheerleader in high school. And I was like, I did all these different things, and they were so important at the time. And now, like, halfway through life or whatever, all of those like different aspects have kind of like blended into like who I am. And it's like, I'm like, oh, here comes the cheerleader. Here comes the dead are in town. I'm going to go follow, like, it's just, it's pretty cool. Like, when you kind of start to go, oh, wow, all of these things kind of were important in their own way to make me who I am today.
Nice. Over here in the comments, Tanisha Leah says, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Now, I noticed that you mentioned you have such a complex background, but you were in the fashion industry. You waited tables. Oh, I can't speak tonight, right? You went backpacking. So how did you come into finding your purpose? Because I know that there are a lot of viewers listening and watching that, they're still struggling with how to identify their purpose, and they're not in their teens, they're not in their 20s. Most people are in their 30s or 40s and even older than that, and sometimes feel like, I don't know what my purpose is, or just when they think they've gotten it, something happens, and then it's like, I really didn't know what my purpose was. So how did you find out what your purpose was? What did that journey look like?
Well, and that's, it's so easy to say, like, back in my 20s, it was easy to kind of take off, put a backpack on my back and go travel, or say, hey, I'm going to try this industry and see if I like it, and then it winds up being like, oh shit, this isn't it either, and so, but when you're in your 30s and 40s, it's a lot more challenging, and so, I mean, one thing is like, my parents were always like, you know what, try it, just try it. If you don't like it, quit. It's, or, not like you just go quit your job, but like, just go try it. What's the worst that could happen? You realize that you don't love it, and then you shift gears, and so there was, my parents are, they own their own business. They're in the liquor industry. They own, like, I grew up in a liquor store, like packing bags and like dusting bottles and, working behind the cash register when I was like in high school. And so, I always had that part of me that was like, all right, well, I'll just try it. If I don't like it, I don't like it, but it's a lot easier to do that when you're younger. And I have a lot of women come to me too, who are like, I don't like, I'm in my 40s, and like, what is my purpose? Like, how do I even go about it? And one is, we're human, and we have life experiences that that shape and mold us, right? And so when we are able to look at them and go, okay, why did this happen for me? What do I have to learn from it? It starts to kind of give you little clues, because I always say that the universe or God, or the divine, it doesn't just plop your purpose in your lap. I mean, unless
Right.
you're like, Shakespeare, or like, I don't even know, like somebody who's just like, okay, this person was made to be like, Beyonce, like where it was super clear from a really young age, but for the rest of us mortal souls, like the universe doesn't drop shit in your lap.
Mhm.
I curse again. It's the New Yorker in me. So I
No, no, no,
apologize. There might be a little E somewhere in the corner, but the universe talks in breadcrumbs, and it sends you on a scavenger hunt, and so it's like, if you're curious about something, or you are like, oh, you know what, that seems interesting, like just go in that direction and just be curious about it, because then it's like one thing leads to the next, and then it starts to unfold, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it was like what I did. I was like doing all these different things, and I said, what's the common thread here? And I realized, again, like wherever I was in the world, people were coming to me with my problems. So I was like, I should probably get paid for this, so so it's looking out for those breadcrumbs, looking out for those like signs, or like anything that just piques your curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, and then it's following that.
Elaine says in the comments, hashtag realness. We love it. And we sure do here on the Happy Hour Show. If you're just tuning in, you are listening with myself and my special guest, Nadia Ahrens. She is a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, and I'm super excited to chat with her. Right now, she was sharing about identifying your purpose. And Nadia, I have to absolutely agree. Oftentimes, people will feel like, my purpose, it's just going to come to me and all of those things, but it's like your purpose has been being revealed to you all along your life, and it's up to you to open your eyes and be willing to accept that and put all the puzzle pieces together. An analogy that I like to use is treasure hunting, or even the movies, like how the bad guys or even the good guys are looking for the treasure. And I say, okay, what are all the things that the people have to do to get to the treasure? Like usually they have to swim through lava, hop on rocks, climb up mountains, slay dragons. They've got to fight demons. They've got to, beat three-headed monsters, and they've got to dig a tunnel. I was about to say swim through sand.
Like we're speaking the same language, 100%. Yes. It's like, I call it I don't call it, but it's, it's the hero's journey. Like what you just said, and this is what I teach my clients. It's like every movie, every book is all about the hero on the journey, and we are our own heroes on our own journey. It's like you look at, Katniss Everdeen or Harry Potter or Indiana Jones. It's like when you start to look and go, oh wait, I'm the hero on this journey. But what's interesting is that there's actually like 12 steps to this whole movie concept, and the first step is resisting the call. Like when you're called to get on that path of what your journey is, the number one thing that hero does, and again, like Harry Potter and Katniss Everdeen and I don't know, Luke Skywalker, they all resist the call. I don't want to do it. I want to stay here. I don't want to be a Jedi. I want to just like chill out and like not do anything. And then that complacency, it starts to really get constricting, and then you're like, okay, and so that fear of the unknown isn't as scary, and then they step on the path, and then once you're on the path, all that shit happens, like slaying the dragon and swinging through trees.
Yes, you gotta go through some
I got Romancing the Stone in my head, or like Indiana Jones.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I see that in clients all the time, because they feel like, oh, I'm going through these struggles, I'm going through these obstacles. Like, when is it ever going to end? And it's like, you got to go through some stuff to get to your purpose. And it's all a matter of how bad do you want it. And that very thing that you're resisting or denying or you don't want to do is exactly what's going to lead you to fully walking in your purpose. I know that I've been there. I know I've had so many clients be there. Some of them, right? Cheers to that. Some of them choose to push through that and start walking it. And then some of them are still in denial. And it's like, I can't do the work for you. So the longer that you choose to be in denial, the longer you're holding yourself back. And so I want you to just expand on that a little bit. What was that moment for you where you were like, this is not me, that's not what I'm doing? And then the light bulb hit and you were like, okay, this is my purpose.
Okay, well, so it's interesting because there's like the big heroes' journeys, like the big life-changing ones, and then there are like the smaller ones being like, okay, I'm getting stuck in traffic and this is like a challenge. But as you mentioned at the top of the show, in 2016, my son unexpectedly died, and he was my heart and my soul, and I didn't want to go on. The pain was so primal that there's no word to describe the level of pain that I was in and that I continue to be in for the rest of my life, right? And so, but I had this moment very early on in my grief where I didn't want to do this. It hurt too much. And I was like, I don't want to go on. I don't want to live. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here without him. And, I've got twin daughters that are 2 years younger than him, and a husband and a family. And I was like, okay, well, I can't, it's not in me to actually do anything. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just like kind of like phone it in and lead like a passively suicidal life waiting to die. Then going like, okay, well, each day that I'm here, I'm one day closer to him in the afterlife, right? And so I was like, maybe I'll just do that and just live a victim life. And that was that moment of, it was that resistance. And then in the next moment, my grandmother came into my mind, and at the time she was 98, and I was like, shit, I have a lot of her genes. And I'm going to be here a really long time, likely. Like, I mean, again, who knows? Because you never know when you're done, right? And so I was like, oh my God. And so in that moment, that was that moment where I chose to get on my hero's journey and go, okay, like, I'm going to be here. I could either live my life as a victim, or I could transform the shit out of the worst experience I will ever experience in my life, hands down. And in that moment, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, transform the shit out of my life, which is kind of like the subtitle, I guess, of my business. It's because that's what I do. I help women transform the shit out of their lives, and so because of this experience, and so I got up not to be like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do, but to literally get me off the fucking floor. Because it's so important. And working with women and connecting with women, we all have these on the floor moments, and it's like, whether it's the bedroom floor or the bathroom floor or the kitchen floor, it's that moment of surrender where you're just like, I have to call on something bigger than me to help me through this. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, get up off the floor, do these things so that you could function. So I could just be that much up off the floor, and I could like maybe get out of my pajamas and like maybe get my girls to school, And so, but the things that I did were like, I felt all my feelings. I would just, cry and cry and cry. And then I would journal, and then I would meditate, and I would journal to him. I would meditate to him, with him. And then eventually, like, moving my body and exercise is so important for like obvious health, but really mental health, right? And so like my core group of girlfriends were like, okay, we know we have to get her back to exercising, and we hate all of these classes that she goes to, but we're going to take her by the hand and we're going to bring her to these classes because we know that she needs it. And so like through those 4 things I did every single day, and I still do them: meditate, feel my feelings, journal, move my body. And now 4 years later, going on 5, I'm here. And if you would have told me this long, like when this happened, that I would be here, I'd be like, I don't fucking believe you. You know? And so, but what happens is like, once you start to kind of do the things as hard as they are, you know, it's like, you always have that choice. Like in every second you have a choice. You could either be a victim or you could transform, because even choosing not to do something is a choice.
Yep. And I love that you touched on that. I gotta go over here to the comments because they are popping. Cher says, yes, I've literally worked like 15 jobs throughout my life, and every single one of them have given me the tools to be the entrepreneur I am today. Right on, Cher. And just hearing you say that, hopefully everybody is listening, because you had the choice to either be a victim to your circumstances or a victor over your obstacles. And that was such a tragic moment for you. And I think a lot of people, it's human nature to take these big moments that happen that are traumatic or negative in our lives and throw ourselves a pity party. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they're playing the victim. They want everyone to feel sorry for them. And they don't realize that you have to make an active and intentional choice to find purpose in that pain, to take yourself out of that trauma and turn it into something great, like you have done, like I've done in my own personal story. I briefly mentioned how in 2007, I was in a fatal car wreck where I was pronounced brain dead and paralyzed. The doctors were shocked that, 1, I was still alive, and 2, that I walked again, and 3, that I recovered as quickly as I did as far as physically goes. And so when visitors would come to visit me, they would, be expecting me to be depressed and sad. And they were always shocked whenever I was upbeat and happy and smiling. And it's because you have to make an active choice in transforming that pain into a purpose. You have to give your pain permission to evolve into your purpose. So I love that you shared that, because you made a choice to get yourself off of the floor, and you set the intention that you were going to be better than you were the day before, especially with your grandma living a long life.
Right.
And
I mean, she literally just died last year at almost 102. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's even with you, it's like it was that spirit that was inside of you that didn't give up. And when you were sharing your story, I'm like, this is like that like when they turn coal into the diamond or whatever. It's like it's hard work. I didn't want to get up and do all these things at all. Quite honestly, I still don't want to get up and do all those things. And do I do all those things every day? Yes, because the alternative is feeling depressed, feeling sad, having the pity party. And I know if I skip, it's not like I do every single thing every single day. I do most of them every day. Right? But if I don't do one for a couple of days, I start to feel it, and I feel like the funk coming on, and so it's like, these are the things that I have to do. Nobody wants to get up and do the things. I call it soul care because it's way more than self-care. Self-care is like bubble baths and dark chocolate and whatever, but like, this is like, this is like caring for your soul. And so it's like, do the things that you don't want to do that are going to get you through life, and so now, and it's interesting with everything that happened with COVID. I mean, in just 2020 as a hot mess of all of it, like, I've noticed like with myself and, you know, maybe Lindsey, you have a similar experience, and I've noticed it with my clients who have experienced trauma or really, really hard times, that there is a level of resilience that we have that someone who hasn't experienced something really traumatic or hard, I find that they are kind of like, they're more anxious and they don't know what to do, you know? And so it's like all of this trauma. I mean, I was also a mile away from 9/11 when it happened, saw the whole thing from my corner, you know, and worked with the FDNY afterwards, you know? And so it's like, when I start again, the breadcrumbs, like, I'm like, oh, right, trauma. Yeah, I'm good at that. You know, like, so I was able to kind of pull, like, you know, pull those tools out, you know? And so now when shit hits the fan, because shit always hits the fan, that's life. We have the tools to use when that other shoe drops or when the shit hits the fan. You know, yes, that's the point of all the soul care and all the work and the journey.
I agree. And I think it's so important that I point out that you took action. Not only did you make the choice, but then you set the intention on how you wanted to live your life. And then you took action. Sometimes we're missing the pieces for viewers and listeners, right? They're missing one of those three pieces. Either they don't commit to a decision one way or the other, and then they can't figure out why they're going through cycles and flip-flopping back and forth, or maybe they don't set the intentions. I always say fuzzy intentions produce fuzzy results. And so it's like, that's not what I really wanted, but I'll settle for it. And I'm not truly fulfilled in my life, but I'm not sure why. And it's because you didn't set that clear intention. And then that last key part, which is where a lot of people fall off the wagon, is taking action. Like, you have been taking action consistently ever since. And just like I had to take action consistently ever since, even still to this day, there's little things that I have to do to maintain, you know, my progress that I started years ago. And so I think, you know, those three key pieces are very crucial to creating the life that you truly desire to live.
Absolutely. And, you know, and there are also days that I'm sure you and I both don't want to do those things too. And like, and that's okay. Like, and I feel like with our society, we're such a go, do society, that it's also super important to listen to your body, know when you need to rest, know when you need to like just chill out and take a break. Like, I sometimes tell my clients, I'm like, you know what, get into bed, throw yourself a pity party for a couple of days. And they're like, but what if I don't get out? I'm like, you're going to get out. You're good. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think you were going to get out. I'm like, you're going to get so sick of yourself after 2 or 3 days that you're going to be like, all right, I'm done. I got to like take a shower and do all my things, you know? And so it's like learning how to have that balance as well, you know? And, but the key is really to like, listen to your body, because our body is constantly giving us messages, and it's up to our mind to learn how to decode them and tell us like, okay, well, you know, I feel like I'm getting sick, or like I've got like, you know, pain in my heart, or, you know, and because our body is giving us messages. So from our higher self, quite honestly too, you know, the whole spiritual piece is like a major part of my life. So, which is also what kind of got me through, like the going back to Jack, my son, like the mama part of me is, you know, grief is love. I'm never going to stop loving him. Right. And so it's learning how to walk alongside of the grief, you know, and, you know, but I just totally lost what I was gonna say. I was like, what the? Oh, but the spiritual part of me is like, okay, you know what? Like, he was a ridiculously old soul, this kid. Like, I mean, super old soul, super wise. And like, I believe that you come down, you learn what you're supposed to learn as a soul. And then when you're done, you die and you go to the afterlife, you know? And so when I could kind of blend those two parts of me, I'm like, okay, I can do this, and then other times it's kind of like I get hit by a tsunami of grief and I allow myself to be in it and move through it. And, because you can't, no matter what it is, whether it's grief or coming close to death, which by the way, I want to ask you, like, did you have like a near death experience when you were in that moment or in the hospital? Do you remember any of that?
So I was actually pronounced brain dead on multiple occasions. Actually, immediately on the scene while the paramedics got there, and I was flown by helicopter to a trauma hospital where again I pronounced brain dead. But God had bigger plans for my life, because despite that, rather than pulling the plug right then and there, they proceeded to do emergency surgeries anyway, and I was placed on life support, and they still didn't think that I was going to make it through the rest of the day nor the next day after that. And so the last thing that I remember was driving on the highway from visiting my mother on Mother's Day to then waking up in complete darkness, having no clue where I was. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't see. And so those were the moments that I had. So it's literally just a blackout between that moment and this moment. And I like to think that was for my own protection, because it was so traumatic, that just, didn't add those extra layers of trauma to my conscious awareness. And so to this day, what is it, 13 years later, like that entire week is just blacked out from my memory. So I have no clue what went down between my last conscious memory and then my first conscious memory after coming to.
Wow. And what you're saying is 100% right. Like your mind is a lot wiser than your like thinking brain. So like the hypnotherapy that I do is like, it's all about the subconscious, right? And so we're in our subconscious mind 90% of the time, and it's your feelings, your spiritual connection, your emotions, your behaviors, your addictions, and so your bodily functions, that's all your subconscious. And then your rational thinking brain is only 10% of the day. And so when I do hypnotherapy with clients, they're like, what if something comes up that I don't even know about? And like, and I was like, look, your mind is way wiser than your little ego brain thing. So it's like, it's going to protect you if it's too traumatic. And so like your higher self was like, yeah, no, she ain't gonna remember any of this stuff.
And I didn't. And it's so crazy. And so I think that this would be a great time for our rational thinking mind to find out exactly
what's in your cup.
Woo, woo, woo. Yes. This is the part of the show where we find out what's in your cup. So if you're just tuning in, you're watching a happy hour show with Lindsey, Vertner, and my special guest, Nadia Ahrens. And we've been talking about finding purpose. She shared how she suddenly lost her son back in 2016 and just overcoming that and the things that she had to do cognitively and in real time by taking action. And now we are about to find out exactly what she's sipping on in her cup, and then she's going to give us some cup cam. So make sure you post in the comments what you're drinking on at home. Go ahead and take it away.
It is, okay, there it is, rosé all day.
Hey. Rosé all day.
And I gotta tell you, these are like my absolute favorite glasses. I got them, we went to a Grateful Dead show a couple of years ago, and it's like in the middle of nowhere in Washington State, and there was this antique market, and I was like, I saw these, and there was like 5 of them, and it came with a picture, and I was like, I have to have these. Like, these are mine, and they like just feel so nice in my hand too, and they're like from like the 1940s. I'm like obsessed with them. So that's what I'm drinking.
Very Nice, nice. So in my cup, it's just, my cup's not as fun, but it's so funny because I had a green cup, and so my green screen.
I know, like it's like camouflage.
My cup. I got Winking Owl, which I'm almost positive is a cheap wine. I don't know. I didn't buy it. But it's called Winking Owl Sweet Red. I like sweet wines. I don't like dry ones. I don't.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I don't like sweet. I like dry. So we would make good drinking buddies.
You take the dry one. Give me the sweet one. The sweeter, the better.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's see over here in the comments. Miss Lisa is drinking water, keeping it healthy. Yes,
Nectar of the gods.
Get all, right? Get all my wine drinking in because I was thinking about doing a fast for December. Oh, it's already December, isn't it? Dang it.
I mean, you can start tomorrow. It's only the 1st.
Well, I got to start next week because I got to prep my brain for all the stuff I'm giving up, right? So Cher says, rose all day, literally. Twins. And now that's funny with your cup, Lindsey. I know. I didn't even think about it until I went to take a sip and I started laughing because
it's like Harry Potter. It's like a full-on Harry Potter cup to like me.
Yes. So back in our conversation, Cher says, wow, your strength is immeasurable, Nadia. I've lost 2 very close family members and grief almost took me out of here. I'm so happy you chose to live and help other people do the same. And let's just go there for a second. That's very powerful right there in that comment. Thank you for sharing. And I know that there are so many other people watching or listening, or they're going to watch the replay later on that have also lost family members, and some of them have also lost children. So specifically, let me back up. What advice would you give to those experiencing a deep grief of that nature, of losing someone so close as a child or a sibling or even a parent, but definitely a child?
The only thing I could I could say a lot of stuff, but the one thing that comes to me is like the only way through it is through it. You can't try to speed your way through it. You can't, stuff it down your toes because it's just going to come out in another way. That it's like the only way through is through. And, grief is like the great equalizer. It's like when you have lost somebody close to you, it's like nothing else, like all the other things that you think matter completely go away, and when it's like if you haven't experienced grief, it's, I find that, how can I put this? I find that people who have experienced great grief, like I have, and some of your listeners, there is a level of compassion and empathy and connection that happens hopefully from it, and so it's, again, it's like it's one breath at a time. Like I remember like going, okay, it's not even one day at a time. It's not even one step at a time. It's literally one painful breath at a time, and I read, and it's, when you lose somebody, people want to like give you a whole bunch of books and a whole bunch of food, and like, I couldn't read anything. Like I was in shock and grief, and I would look at words and nothing would happen. Like I couldn't comprehend anything. And I found this great book that, what is it called? Permission to Mourn is the name of it. And this guy, because I was like, this guy and his wife lost their 18-month-old daughter, and then they decided to have 2 more kids, and then 10 years later the wife died, and both unexpectedly. And then like 3 years after that, his son got brain cancer and died at 13. And I was just like, if this guy can get through it and thrive, this is the book that I need to read. And it was literally almost like written in like poem form, because he knew that your brain doesn't work, you know. And it's like, and then another book that I read was like a year later was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And he and that's all, like, if you focus in the past, you're going to be suffering. Like, his whole thing is like time is suffering, right? So it's like, if you're stuck in the past and you're thinking of all the things of like how your life could have been, you're going to be sad, you're going to be depressed, and you're going to be stuck. On the other hand, if you're constantly living in the future and future tripping and having fears and anxiety and all that kind of stuff, then you're also going to be suffering. And so the whole concept is like, as hard as it is, as much as you could stay in that present moment, that suffering ceases to exist, right? So it's like me talking to you right now, Lindsey, there's no suffering because I'm right here focused on you. You know, in 5 minutes, I mean, I won't be, but like I might be on the floor, you know? And so it's about being as present as possible, because that really is that magic pill, you know. And it really is just allowing yourself to honor the space that you're in. And the more that you could honor that, the more you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And, you know, and again, it's not, you know, and again, our society is so conditioned to be like, oh, okay, somebody died, you have 3 days off.
Right.
And then you got to go back to work, you know. And I mean, I cleared house after my son died, because I was like, I think I went back to work like 4 months later, because again, your mind protects you, and that whole first year was a blur. But I remember sitting outside with my girlfriend, and she's like, do you think you're ready to see clients again? And I was like, fuck that. I was like, I can't sit there and listen to their shit. Like, you know, I was like, because if I'm sitting here and they're still stuck in their shit, I don't want anything I won't be able to deal. And I hear my husband is like, you know, in earshot, and he's like, yeah, I don't think you're ready to go back to work yet. You know? You know, and so it's like, take as much time as you need. And like, if you could create a space, and even if you can't take off, and, you know, like, create a space in your life, you know, that you could take care of yourself. Because then I created this morning practice that I would do all those things, like meditate and journal and cry. And it helped me compartmentalize for when I did go back to seeing clients, that I was able to go, okay, I let it all out. And now I could focus on my people. And then I would literally, like, you know, get in the car and start crying, or get home and start crying, you know. And it was like, it's like learning how to walk and live all over again, you know. And when something this traumatic happens, like what I experienced or what you experienced, like, there's a level of, well, okay, fuck it, I could go on this show. I mean, it's not going to be as scary and bad as what I went through. Like, you know, there's like it's weird, but there's this level of freedom that kind of comes along with it, where you're just kind of like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Why not? Like, you know, because, and like, if I start to get freaked out, I'm like, okay, look at what you went through. Right. This is not going to be that hard, you know? So.
I love that, because oftentimes in our lives, we allow fear to hold us back from things, from trying new things, or from chasing opportunities, or for going after our goals. And so when you've gone through a traumatic experience, such as losing your child, or, you know, the wreck that I went through, it's easy to be like, wait a minute, you overcame this. This is like cake.
Right. Let's put it like puts it in perspective. You're like, oh wait, yeah, that's actually not that big of a deal.
Right. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and that fear is like, you know, like, we've again been conditioned by our society that fear is this negative thing, right? But like, if we close our eyes and we feel that fear in our body, there's a visceral experience that you actually feel in your body, right? And if you close your eyes and then you feel excitement, it feels the same way, you know? And so again, it's that mindset of, are you going to look at this as scary or are you going to look at this as exciting? You know? And then if you even take those two words away and you just sit with that feeling, like maybe, and this is what I believe, maybe that's your soul's GPS to go, hey, you know what? You need to go in this direction.
Love that.
You know, and but we've been conditioned to think that it's something negative. I mean, of course, it's not like go, you know, hug up on somebody without a mask right now, because that's not being safe, right? But like, it is like, you know, because that would be scary. But it is going, okay, is this fear? Is this excitement? What would it be if I just took a step towards it? Because maybe that's that breadcrumb, and maybe that's that scavenger hunt or that treasure hunt that the universe or the divine or God wants to put you on. And that's how I find my path.
Yes, yes. I hope y'all are catching all of these gems, because Miss Nadia Ahrens has been laying them out, helping you to identify your purpose and really overcome those negative experiences in your life. And you may not have lost someone close to you. You may not have experienced a traumatic wreck. You may think that you haven't been through any trauma. I bet you probably have, but you just don't consider it trauma because you've normalized it. However, just know that whatever you're going through, you have to make that active and intentional choice to pull yourself out of victim mode and become the victor over your situation, and know that you are fully in control of creating the life that you desire. If you're just tuning in, make sure you go back and watch the replay so that you can find out how Miss Nadia did it for herself after losing her son suddenly in 2016. And so I have a question that I have to ask all of my guests, because I am all about creating a first-class life. And what that means is that it's not about how much money you have, but it's about the quality of life that you're creating for yourself. It's about being intentionally happy in every moment that you can. And I don't mean toxic happiness and toxic positivity, but you know, knowing that you do have that choice to make a situation positive or negative, or to turn negative situations into something positive, to find the purpose in your pain and the lesson in your loss, or the message in your mess. And so I have to ask you, how do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
I wake up every morning, well, 5 days a week. I like to sleep in on the weekends and watch crap television in bed. TLC fan here. Like, don't get me started on all those shows. But I get up like 2 hours before my family every morning, and I do the things that I've been preaching all hour. Like, I have my cup of coffee, I journal, I meditate, and I set the intention for the day. Whether that pans out, I don't know, you know, because I agree with that toxic positivity. Like, I'm like, we're not supposed to be happy 24/7. Like, that's a fucking illusion, people. Like, moods are like the weather. Like, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's stormy. Like, you can't, it can't be sunny all the time, right? And so as long as I could set that intention of going, okay, I'm going to be as present as I can, as mindful as I can. I'm here to serve. I know that's my purpose, you know, and when I do these things in the morning, I fill up my tank, and I am able to give people the best of me and not what's left of me. Yeah. And so I have to do my soul care every morning. And that's how I set that intention for having that choice of having a positive day, you know, or not, you know, and stuff happens, right? But it's like, then it's like, okay, am I going to react to it, or am I going to respond to it?
I love it. Are you going to react to it or are you going to respond to it? What are you choosing to do? If you are just tuning in, you're watching the Happy Hour show with my special guest, Miss Nadia Ahrens. She is a psychotherapist and she is just amazing and phenomenal. So make sure that you follow her right there. NadiaAhrens.com is her website. You can find her on Instagram at Nadia Ahrens. And just amazing, amazing, amazing. She does coaching to help women. What is it? Get out of their shit.
Transform the shit out of your life. If you want to transform the shit out of your life, hit me up. I will help you out. I will help you get through your shit. And through that, help you find your soul's purpose, because it's through your shit that you find it, quite honestly.
Right. There's purpose in your pain, but you gotta make the choice.
There is purpose in your poop, everybody.
And she will help you do just that. Sort through all your poop to find your purpose. I love it. I love it. Make sure that you connect
That might
with
be
her.
my new hashtag.
Do it. Do it. There's purpose in your poop. Now find it. Make sure that you sign up for a happy hour update so that you can stay updated on all things happy hour. And sometimes my guests give exclusive happy hour VIP discounts only if you're on the mailing list. So you see it scrolling down the bottom, bit.ly/happy update is where you can stay updated on future episodes. And make sure you tune in this Thursday where I will be chatting with another guest and we are going to have another phenomenal show. And for right now, Miss Nadia, what are your final words for the viewers and listeners?
Oh my God. Now I feel on the spot. I don't even know if I have some final words. I think I gave them all to you. Just know that whatever you are going through and whatever you have gone through is part of your soul's purpose, because you chose to be here on a soul level for your own evolution. And so when you start to look through your past experiences, you will find themes and be in it. Allow yourself to feel it and be in it. And that's how you will get through it.
Yes.
Keep going.
Those are
and know that you always have a choice.
Great final words. Over here, Tanisha Leah says, following her now. This was such a good one, Lindsey. Thank you. You got a new follower. You've got a whole bunch of new followers.
Thanks,
Cher says, great show, ladies. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Here's her information on the screen again. And also, are you empath? We'll find out by taking the quiz at NadiaAhrens.com. It will pop up right when you go to her website, and you can find out if you're an empath or not. And just
you feel all the feels that you are.
Mm-hmm. To wrap those final words, every single thing that you are going through at the moment, everything that you have gone through in the past is a part of your greater purpose, but it's up to you to identify what that purpose is and to find the lesson in your loss, the message in your mess, the purpose in your pain. And with that, make sure you sign up for updates at bit.ly/happy updates. I want to thank my guest again, Ms. Nadia Ahrens. Make sure you follow her. You see her info right there. And until next time, I will see you guys in 2 days on this Thursday with another episode of the Happy Hour Show. Bye.